What is going on, everybody? Working on the 02 GMC Envoy again, and this was my nephew's vehicle. First it was actually my dad's, then it's my nephew's, and then my wife and I are going to purchase it as an in-between vehicle while I replace the cylinder head, or do the head gaskets on that thing. And what's going on with this thing, before we can get it serviced or going again, the compressor spins, but the pulley bearing is completely trashed. So I don't know if it's the right bearing, but I found one on O'Reilly's. And so I should be able to, the biggest struggle is going to be actually pulling the clutch plate off and actually getting the bearing and pulley off of there. I'm hoping I can do that without removing the whole compressor. And if for some reason I have to, I'll just end up replacing the compressor. I really don't want to. Basically doing a complete AC service on this. I'd almost rather just order, which there's one in Washington, but an AC bypass. Well, I wouldn't even do that. I think that I can get a shorter belt, but anyway, I'm gonna basically get it fixed. If I have to do a compressor, well, I probably just won't charge it up until the spring. And if I sell it, I'll just tell them you gotta go get the AC charge. Anyway, also I think, okay, there we go. That feels better. Fan clutch felt like it was bad when I first looked at it. Sorry for this terrible cameraing. But that's feeling better now with this in a warmer environment. Anyway, so I'm going to start with, I'm going to remove this little cover here. I'm going to remove this bar. I'm going to get the battery out of the way. Just so I can have a lot better access. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and remove the fan shroud and the fan, if that's not too difficult. I think to get the shroud out, I'll have to remove the upper radiator hose, but we'll see. Because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need to pull, like use a puller to get that, to get the pull a bearing, whatever you call it, the pulley bearing, etc. The pulley and the bearing off. Anyway, I'm rambling. All right, guys, let's get into it. Alright guys, I did another intro, but I completely went a different route. So this is a 2002 GMC Envoy. It's got the 4.2 liter, and the bearing went bad on the AC compressor. It's actually my nephew's vehicle that we're going to be purchasing. I'm trying to spin the pulley right now, and it's, as you can see, it's totally hosed. The compressor does rotate. So initially I was just going to try to remove the clutch pulley assembly and replace the bearing, put it back on, but I just can't get to it. I can't get it off. I tried to remove the fan shroud and fan clutch, but then I remembered that it's actually electronic fan clutch, and so it's all intertwined. There's really no way to get this out without maybe removing the whole radiator, so I didn't need to do that. And then I was doing some searching. There's a couple other videos. Shout out to the car doctor. He's also here in Alaska. Another first video I saw. Shout out to those guys. And what you do is we're just going to bypass this compressor, because what I need to do is down the road, remove the alternator, pull the compressor, probably remove this idler pulley too, remove the compressor, try to do the bearing. At that point, I might just replace the compressor. Obviously, having the system apart, you want to replace your accumulator or receiver dryer, throw a new amorphous valve, whatever it's called, in there, and then I'd have to take it somewhere to get it recharged. You can also see right here that this is a slight, super slight seepage, maybe because it's kind of just got the traction dust, but there's really not a leak there yet. We used to replace those all the time. So I got a smaller belt. The belt number is K060695. As you can see, it's about 70 inches, long or whatever, and it bypasses it perfectly. I'm going to start it up. Right now, I'm getting the battery charged up. This thing's been running without a belt for a while, So just getting the battery charged up, and then basically get it in the vehicle, start it up, take it for a test drive. Gotta get my block heater cord routed outside. And this is gonna be my wife's vehicle for a while. And then I will be fixing the Expedition, which pretty sure has bad head gaskets. They're just starting to fail. It's giving me weird symptoms. So I still gotta look into it. It first had a misfire, replaced the plugs, did a compression test, it passed, but then my coolant started getting contaminated and filled with air bubbles while it was warming up. But then when it was warmed up, it seemed to settle down. So I'm thinking when it's cold, I might have a head gasket failure. And I've got a lot of oil that's leaking between the cylinder head and the block, which obviously is not a good sign. So I've got an external oil leak due to the head gaskets already. So there's our little parts and pieces. We're gonna get this thing back together, but I just wanted to shout out to those guys who figured this out before me. And if you need help with your, you know, I don't know what year range, but the Envoy Trailblazer, you can bypass the compressor until you absolutely need to get it fixed. And yeah, I had this off. I was literally trying to get this off. It was ridiculous. I barely got it back together. I had the fan clutch all the way off, but got my cord plugged back in, and then I unplugged this cam sensor or whatever that is. I think that's what that is. So just waiting on the battery to charge up, and I'm gonna slowly get that back installed, check all the fluids, and then give this thing a little test drive. All right, y'all, 2002 GMC Envoy. Service engine soon light came back on after I parked it for about 5-10 minutes, then drove it again. This is a camshaft B over advanced or something like that. I think this one's due to the oil being dirty. I'm hoping. It's not running rough at all. You know, I think if you have P0, so this is a P0014. If you have both the 1.3 and the 1.4, I think you notice drivability issues, but hoping that right now this will be just due to the oil that desperately needs to be changed. I already noticed that it's old, it smells like gasoline, so we're gonna make sure that this thing is road worthy. And I did notice this thing has whoops, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm hitting buttons that are causing the seat to change. So this thing has 204,000 miles, guys. We're trying to keep her together. We'll let you know how the oil change goes.